Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast. My name is Julio, and I'm joined today by some friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, Chris, Dave, and Jose. And on behalf of the guys, we want to thank you for joining us for episode 22 here on the Heron Heads podcast, your first place for all things Inter Miami. Today's episode, we will be discussing Inter Miami's 1-1 draw against Orlando City. And for those of you watching live on YouTube, thanks so much for stopping by, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons if you're enjoying the show. We want to give a huge shout out to our chief Heron Head on Patreon, Matias. Thank you so much for your generous support. Additionally, thank you to our other Heron Heads, Art, Brian, Kevin, James, and Karen. If you feel so inclined to support us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening. And if you don't feel so inclined, well, that's totally okay too. We appreciate you being here. With that all said, how are you guys feeling about the 1-1 draw against Orlando? Chris, how are you feeling coming away with a point from Orlando City?
Huge point, guys. We spoke about it last match. A point would have been a very good thing against this team. We had our backs against the walls. Messi, Alba, Busquets are all out. So everyone was expecting a loss here, and we came out with a tie. The stadium was chanting overrated for no reason. I mean, we're playing with half of our squad out. Just the atmosphere was very tense. As we spoke about last time, we saw that Orlando plays a very I called it dirty. They called it very physical. Tonight they played a little dirty at times. We overcame it. I think we stepped up to the match, and we got into their shoes, and we also played very physical as well. We saw from all the yellow cards that were being flown around everywhere. Some were very dangerous, but some were much needed. So we kind of kept it toe to toe with them as far as that goes. But it was a great match, you know. David Ruiz played lights out. Best game that we've seen him play so far in pink. A couple other guys didn't do so hot. I probably would have liked to see them step up. Big formation change. We'll talk about that in a little bit. That formation change was huge. It was very different, and I think David probably wants to talk about that one a little more. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all said it. If we didn't get Alba and we didn't get Messi out there, we're really going to depend on seeing who's out there, whether or not we're going to be playing for 3 points as opposed to just kind of throwing the match away. And yeah, we came out with the 4-4-2. We did infuse a lot of our young players in there. And like I said in the last episode, we started off with both Martinez and Campana up at striker, which was a look that we've never really employed before. So it was interesting to see how we would pull it off. We also tried to give Miller the night off. We tried to give him at least the start off, and we put in Toto over Miller, so we had Toto and Christoph. And yeah, I thought we had enough talent on there to compete, and we came out to a 1-0 jump on them. And yeah, I instantly was looking at the standings and seeing where we would be with the 3 points, but yeah, leaving with a point with the group that we had, including not having Busquets. I know they said it yesterday that we wouldn't have Busquets, but when we recorded, we were still expecting Busquets to be in there. So coming out of this match with just a point, I think it's a win. We're still in a good spot to make that push for the playoffs.
I feel great about the 1 point win, the 1 point tie, but I do think I kind of left a little bit sad at the end because I felt like we were actually in it and we could have actually taken the game. I told you guys actually at one point, I was like, we can actually win this thing if we go up with 2 goals, or if we put the one more goal. I think that might be enough to win this game. And yeah, it would have been enough. It's great, but it's also unfortunate because we also had a lot of opportunities. Including Campana. Campana had a header that we really thought he should have hit the back of the net with that one. It was just perfect. It was made for him, and that's why we always, that's why we always want him, right? You always talk about Julio that on these set pieces, that's what he gives that others don't. Joseph. Today Joseph had a few nice runs. I don't know what it is. It always looks like it's going to be a nice run. He's going to end it perfectly, but he just flutters. It's a shame. I liked what I saw from Calendar. He did great today. He stepped up. It is what it is. I'll give him his flowers. He did great.
Is that an apology? again.
I don't have to apologize. I already apologized once. How many
2 in a
times I gotta
row?
apologize? I mean, I understand. You know, I was castrated and I did it. I took care of business. I said I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna say sorry, Robert Taylor. Again, this is a very abysmal performance by him. He was okay. I think I left the game saying, "My God, can you just not give him the ball anymore?" Every time him and Crema or Cremaski are trying to play a back-to-back game, it was just constantly getting thrown out of bounds for some reason or the other. I don't know whose fault it was, but there's a lot of miscommunication with him. There's a time when Robert Taylor was on the left flank that he just said, "I'm gonna shoot this thing right in there," and it was a little dribbler right to the goalie right there. He just grabbed it like nothing. And then all of a sudden, Campana and Clemenski afterwards threw their hands like, "Yo, I was open." Yeah, I agree. And God forbid he would get into the actual score, you know. But well, it is what it is. Overall, yeah, they were chanting overrated, and I was kind of chanting it in my house too. I was saying overrated, but to them, how about that?
Yeah, I think entering the match, ask most fans, and knowing that Messi, Alba, and Busquets were out, generally I'd say we'd be pretty happy with a point. Now, it changes when you take the lead first, and then you're up one, and you say, okay, maybe we could see this out. Orlando was having a really hard time creating dangerous chances, although they really messed up some that they had that were one-on-ones. There was one where I think it was Angulo who broke away and was one-on-one with Calendar, and he just tapped it off and went way left of goal. I don't know what he was doing. But yeah, once we took the 1-0 lead, you thought, wait a minute, maybe we can steal 3 points here. We'll be happy with the 1. We would have been ecstatic and over the moon with 3, but we still control our destiny now. If we have 5 matches remaining, we have to win all 5 to be guaranteed a spot in the play-ins. But if other teams drop points here or there, then that math changes a little bit, and we can kind of reconfigure based on those results. The next match in the league is against NYCFC, and that is a critical match because they now hold the final play-in spot. So if someone's able to win that match, they will have the overwhelming odds in their favor to remain in the play-in spot. It would take a Herculean effort by the loser of that match to be able to come back from it, I think. So let's talk about this Orlando match. Let's dive right into it, as we say. I definitely think the draw is a win, and this match, it was so physical. We knew that Orlando was going to be really aggressive, and honestly, it felt like we were the aggressors for most of the first half. Too aggressive, I would say. It was, right off the bat, Toto Aviles, of course, just lunges, and I thought was very lucky not to get a yellow card on his first challenge of the match. And then shortly thereafter, he made it was very clumsy. It was 30 yards away from the penalty area, and he's just sort of riding one of the Orlando City guys back and just knocks him to the floor, and the ref came over and he's like, "Oh, you got a foul over here, over there, over there, over there." Yellow card. The first of what would be 5 yellow cards, I think it was, for Inter Miami. It was very physical. I think by halftime we had at least 10 fouls, which is a little out of character. Usually we're the ones getting fouled, but we were really giving it to Orlando almost too aggressively. I like when we're able to be aggressive but not foul. I think that's always kind of the goal, but we were being a little too clumsy. So how did you guys how are you getting into the flow of the game? Because right from the get-go, it seemed very physical, very aggressive, very much like a derby should be.
I mean, I think that at least the first half showed I think we wanted to be aggressive. That was a point that Tata probably was emphasizing throughout training, that they wanted us to be the aggressors in the match. However, I think not having that veteran presence, whether it be Busi or Alba or Messi, it kind of got away from us a little bit, and we were a little too overly aggressive, and it showed. The young guys were getting really, really heated, and we needed that calming presence out there. But thankfully, we were able to kind of rein it in, and we were still able to do what needed to be done. After 15 minutes, I thought we were going to lose Toto. I thought Toto was going to get a double yellow and be out of there, because they were saying that when one of the Orlando players got a yellow, he kind of took a step back and calmed himself down. And Toto was the opposite. When he got his yellow, he became even more aggressive, and he was playing with this intensity that he wasn't even starting off with. So that's not the right way to go about things. And you saw then we had Christoph. You saw we had Christoph who had to be removed from the match due to injury. So that kind of forced us to put in Sailor, who hadn't played in I don't know since early on in the season. So it put us in a bad spot. I don't think that they had planned to put in Sailor, at least not that at that point. I think Miller was always going to be the one who would be the sub, and they weren't planning on removing both center backs. So it put us in a bad spot. But again, I think once we were able to gain that wherewithal and play with a little bit with it, a little more within ourselves, it was fine. But yeah, definitely it was a combination of us trying to be aggressive and the refs really trigger happy with the fouls and cards, because yeah, there was a lot of fouls for both teams, but I think that at least half of those fouls could have been no calls. So
Yeah, I think this goes for any sport really that you play. When you're playing a physical team like that, I think you have to match up to their physicality. If not, they're going to take advantage of you. Last match we did play them. We did get out physical, but we still beat them. Again, it could have been the Messi effect last time or whatever, but this time I think it was necessary to get to their level in physicality. Maybe we almost crossed the line, especially with the way that Toto Avila started off. It was very scary. We were talking about it on our group chat that, oh man, this may be an early night for him. And it definitely wasn't in the plans, especially with Christoph getting hurt. Like David said, it just kind of threw Tata's plans out the window as far as subbing in Miller. So it was scary, but I'm glad we were physical with them. It was one of my key points in our preview episode. They're a very physical team, and I think you have to go after them. And I think because of that, they kind of said, whoa, wait, these guys came to play today. So I think it really did help us a lot. I'm glad that happened. Did it go a little too much? Were we missing that veteran presence, like David said? Yes, I think we did. But at the end of the day, I'm happy for it, and I wouldn't want it any other way, honestly.
Yeah, we actually just said to them, no, you're not gonna big brother us anymore, and we're going into your house, or we're gonna take the first win, or the first, we're gonna be very competitive. And we went in with the attitude of taking the 3 points, which is great to see from a very young team. We had the average age on our side was 25 years old. That's a young team, and so yeah, the inexperience comes, but what comes with the youth? Well, we're flying around everywhere. David Ruiz was playing out of his mind. He had a great game. It's one of those things where we're gonna get a little bit of that where we take it a little too far. Kramaski, he got a little bit more physical. Campana also a little bit too much. We're seeing that all over the place, and by the end of it, what ends up happening is you get all these yellow cards. Now you can't play as physical because now you're worried about, okay, now I'm gonna get taken out of the game. Do you imagine Toto having another yellow? That was literally early in the game. He got that first yellow. So
and he
it's
almost
kind
got he almost got another one immediately. That's
he
the
should
thing,
have.
that Toto kind of he didn't do the like mentally. He took a different approach to playing on a yellow.
Because he also felt that, okay, wait, they're going after me. I mean, it on that last one there, that there was a play where Campana was down the field trying to get the ball, and it was another one of those headers, and he was trying to keep possession of it. And this I texted it to you guys that this guy
Schniegel.
yeah, he finally got the yellow. I was like, bro, how many times is he gonna lunge while Campana's in the air? Joseph, I think it happened with Joseph too. It's just constantly happening. They were just undercutting every single time you jump up to head the ball to somebody. Very annoyed about that. But just like Chris says, this is this derby. It's expected to be very physical. It's nothing out of the ordinary now. But I felt that it was a little bit too one sided. But who cares? Whatever. We'll take it. We haven't really gotten as much lately from the refs. I guess that they don't care that we have Messi anymore. I think initially we were getting a lot of calls, and now we're like not getting any calls. But what I'm more concerned about was the possession. Nobody just talked about that, but we actually lost possession battle today. We're
We
at
were
40,
leaving it for you.
yeah, at 49%. Like that's pretty crazy considering we're a possession team. Obviously, our attitude kind of changes when Messi's not in there, but and I don't know if we have the facilities to keep the ball on their side and be actually very. Because think about how often do we find ourselves just throwing the ball back and forth in the amongst defenders? Like we never really we're never really trying to settle in. I feel I think the high press kind of messed with us a lot, um, and we just weren't able to do that as much. Maybe they weren't playing so far up because Messi wasn't there. I'm not sure how we can get around that when he's not around, but yeah, that's why I think we should have had a little more possession. We got a lot out of the David Ruiz today, and yeah, I wasn't worried about the yellows. It's gonna happen.
I think it's tough to play that possession game when you're missing the type of players that you're missing. Without Busquets, without Messi, and without Alba, these are supreme ball handlers. And if we don't have these types of players to be outlets at the three different levels of the pitch, it's tough to really play that passing around game, just because the turnovers are more likely. So they're more looking for chances right off the bat. They're not looking for this ball control the way we typically play.
And it happened.
I see it with Noah Allen. Every time he touches the ball, I fear that it's going to be a turnover because he doesn't have I feel like he doesn't have a good control of the ball, and yeah, if the ball could just never find his feet, I'd be thrilled. But yeah, go ahead, Jose.
No, it's like you said. So it was a lot of turnovers. So when they were trying to do that kind of back and forth tiki taka kind of passing, it was there was a lot of times that Kamaski and Robert Taylor were actually trying to do it. I feel more than others, which is funny because every time it would happen, it would just Kamaski would go in, and there was a time that he tried to hit it up the pitch, and Robert Taylor was just staying there, and I was like, okay, and just fluttered out. I was like, God. It looked like it was going somewhere. It just never, so we had limited chances. I think we had like what 0.54 xg. I mean, so it really wasn't anything crazy. So looking back at that, we're lucky that we did just have a draw.
You also need to look at who we had on the pitch because it's one thing you don't have Messi. Obviously, it's a huge drop off. Usually, in his stead has been Farias, who's been somewhat of a playmaker for us. This match, we didn't really have that playmaker type. We didn't have Messi, obviously. Farias came off the bench in the 70th minute. But to start the match, we had Robert Taylor, David Ruiz, Kremaski, Arroyo. They're all good, but they're not the style of player that Farias or Messi is, where they can take the ball at half and really turn up and unlock a play. Like you mentioned, the play with Robert Taylor and Kremaski, you don't necessarily want either of them to be the focal point of an attack. They're there to sort of facilitate the play and help the ball forward, but not really to be the ones to drive the ball forward. Like they could be the ones running into a channel and getting the ball that leads them out, and then they can play it in. So I think that's a byproduct of who we had out on the pitch, on top of not having Messi, Busquets, and Alba. And I thought I thought we saw the best in Ruiz because of it. He was everywhere. He was all over the pitch, defense, offense. He was making really nice tackles. He was popping up in offense. He was pressing really well when they would play back to the left back, and he would just sprint at him. And I think he caused a couple moments where the left back just had to boot it up or kick it straight out. His hair was on fire this match, so much so that I wanted to put it in the thumbnail with his hair on fire, but David wouldn't let me. And then the second half starts. I think it was Arroyo takes the ball, passes it to Campana, and Campana plays the ball in behind to Joseph. Joseph very smartly tries to go far post, a really tight angle, but hits it to the keeper's left hand. He's not really able to handle it. And David Ruiz was there, like to be there in that moment, to be crashing into the box and aware to get into a danger position for essentially a tap-in. Good on him, man. He had the best game that I've seen. He had a game similar to this in a substitute appearance, but to be a starter and to have this sort of impact, I think is huge. Like incredible for such a young player to be put in a spot like this. Everyone's kind of thinking it's a foregone conclusion that Miami have no shot in this match. Orlando's one of the hottest teams in the MLS. Inter Miami are coming in like a three-legged dog with missing all their best players, and he showed up in a big way tonight, I thought.
I think that what we got out of David Ruiz is what we've been calling for, and what we've been getting to a certain extent from Kremaski. We very high energy, making the clutch plays, but Ruiz kind of doing it more on the defensive side as well. While Kremaski is more of a pesky player on defense, I think Ruiz actually brings a little more quality when it comes to playing playing that defensive side of the ball. But yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to knock Kremaski. I think Kremaski he was fatigued in this match. I think he gave it his all. And Chris said he didn't want to knock him for that effort, but he wasn't playing as to the standard that we've been accustomed to seeing from Kremaski, and it could just be a fatigue issue. So I'm not ready to throw him under the bus for this performance.
No.
But he gave it his all. But I'm very, very thrilled to see again the progression with Ruiz. When you play these young players, you're going to expect up and down performances. They're not at that quality yet where they're being consistent on the pitch, and that's a lot of it comes from lack of playing time and playing together within the system and with the same players. So seeing David Ruiz playing like this, it shows you a glimpse of what this club could be moving forward, and it shows you what we can do in maybe a little further down the season when everybody's getting a little more accustomed to it. I know that they've been playing now a few matches, but in the grand scheme of things, they haven't really been playing together that long. So we're seeing what this club can be, and it's nothing but positive.
And the thing about Kremaski, is that what you like. I'm not gonna throw him under the bus either. You're not gonna catch me dead doing that, but you will catch me dead saying, I think if he would have been the usual Kremaski that we're used to, I think that could have maybe been the difference, because there's a lot of plays where he was directly impacting how if we could have scored or not. You know what I'm saying? Where not taking the actual shot, but a lot of the passing that was going on freely, he was messing up a lot, and it's a shame because we I'm telling you guys, I feel like we could have won this game. That's why I agree with everyone where we ultimately going into this game, if we all asked each other, okay, would we be okay with a tie? Yes, we would all be okay with a tie here. Now, do we looking at this game, watching the game, and saying, okay, we're literally in it and we're ahead of them. The way that they scored was an accident. It was a Robert Taylor assist. It's one of those things where we could have actually pulled it out if it wasn't for the beautiful assist that Robert Taylor gave.
It was a lucky bounce. They interviewed the player after, the guy, I forgot what his name is, the guy who's McGuire. They interviewed McGuire after, and he even said it was a lucky bounce. That benefited them. And these things happen, but you know what? They had 2 or 3 very, very good chances to score, and they didn't. So sometimes the best plan is just having a little luck on your side. But hey, like you said, a 1-1 draw, we take that. In this situation, we'll take it.
So 2 points I actually want to make. You guys are hitting on both of them. So back to David Ruiz. The other really bright spot about David Ruiz is that he hasn't really gotten a lot of play time. He gets his subs in the second half, but this time he really got to showcase what he has. This is a start. He played the whole match. It was just a nice showcase for him. So another young guy showing up, another player in the arsenal to sub in as needed. Obviously, the coaches know what they have, but just seeing them play so many minutes is just it shows another level of what they got. And then the other piece that David was kind of touching on now, to go against what Jose was saying, is that Orlando had a lot of good chances. If it wasn't for Calendar to make 2 humongous saves, this game would have been out of hand. It wouldn't have been even close. Not only the flubs from the actual players that they mispassed it or whatever. Calendar had 2 huge saves. So just with those 2 alone, this game would have been completely different. And then obviously the flubs by the players, it just would have opened the floodgates there. So we could have won. But yes, we could have won. But it was a good outcome. It was a good outcome considering everything. We can't just look at the lucky plays that they had. We have to look at the lucky plays that went in our favor as well. So it's a good mixture, I'm happy with the 1-1 tie.
Chris, you mentioned flubs by players that put Calendar having to save. Who are you speaking about particularly?
No,
we're talking about Orlando messing up their chances.
Exactly.
Orlando flubbed
exactly.
And also Orlando had a ground cross.
Angulo was like
Orlando had a ground cross that went through that nobody touched. That had anyone just tapped that ball, it was a goal. That was an automatic goal.
That went straight to Calendar, right?
No, it went out of bounds.
Because there was another dangerous cross on the ground from the corner that it went straight to Calendar. Thank God, because if not, it would have been an easy goal as well.
The Orlando City player was just late to that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good chances that we looked out on at the end of the day too. So we can't say, oh, they got lucky or whatever, because we got lucky a lot of times too. We got to look at it both ways. The tie is good in this case.
Yeah, Jose.
Come on, Jose.
I'm only looking at us in a very selfish
Give
way.
another-
I only want us to win. I'm not the type.
Give another apology. Come on.
Well,
Get
Jose
on your
mentioned it.
knees.
Jose mentioned it. Our XG was 0.5, 0.7, depending on the platform that you check. You know, we weren't. Orlando had clear cut the better chances. We took a higher percentage of our chances, because if Orlando had even just put the ball on frame with some of their chances, it's likely a 2 to or 3 to 1. That was the biggest thing that stuck out to me with Atlanta, is really when we don't have Alba and when we don't have some of these players, teams get chances. Atlanta's the first team that really took all the chances, and they just made every single chance that they had, seemingly. Orlando missed some of the chances, and you end up with a draw. So, you know, we were lucky, they were lucky, everybody was lucky. You know, it all happens. Before we move on from the yellow cards, an important piece that came out of this game was DeAndre Yedlin's yellow card. So he's not going to be available for the next league match. It has no bearing over the U.S. Open Cup final. It's a completely separate competition. So that's going to be something that's really going to affect his position. I don't know who you put there. I would really dislike if Tata tried to square peg Robert Taylor over there again. Maybe now that Sailor has some time under his belt, maybe he can put him out there. I don't know if Sailor's too comfortable in that position. It's been a while since he even played center back, much less putting him out of position and putting him at right back. But Yedlin having to miss a match is going to be not ideal. He's played pretty much every minute since the Leagues Cup. He hasn't really missed much time. So that's going to be a rough one to sort of overcome. And we'll see what Tata does when we get to that NYCFC match.
When he has missed, it was Robert Taylor who covered for him. So
not good, Bob.
Maybe Noah Allen. Maybe we could put Noah Allen on that side. Switch the sides.
It depends if Alba's back.
Oh, he'll be back.
We hope so.
If Alba's still out, we can't have Noah Allen play both wing back positions.
I have sources in the alleys of Miami Beach. I don't, but
I wouldn't trust those guys.
I wouldn't trust them. They also offered about it Molly afterwards. So I don't tell you.
The worst part about it is, like we said, this match on next Saturday is huge. You know, it's 3 points for us that we could possibly get and get closer to them or jump them. I'm not sure what the point status is, but I don't know if we'd be able to jump them if we win.
We won't be able to jump them, but I think that it's a crucial match. I don't think there's I don't think there's a way for us to. I mean, there might be, but I think it's very, very unlikely for us to make the playoffs without a win against New York FC. I think if we don't come away with 3 points there, I think it might be too tall of a task for us to make the playoffs.
Right. So him getting that yellow card accumulation is rough. Is really rough. But that was a physical game that we played tonight.
And I watched the match and I didn't understand exactly how. What happened that the Yedlin got the yellow, because that was the sequence that
Ruiz.
Ruiz made a fantastic. Like he made an effort play. Yeah, it was a clear yellow. I get it. But then there was some funny business, some shenanigans that happened afterwards. Is that what resulted in the yellow card?
He grabbed the ball and just kept walking away from the referee, and it was their free kick, and he just wasn't letting them. He wanted to hear an explanation. They weren't giving it to him. He kept walking further, kept pissing everybody off. But you know the funny thing is, good luck anyways, because we were gonna take him out anyways. So they did us a favor.
No, I think that's a frustrating yellow. I'd rather him earn a yellow than give one away like that, especially when it costs him.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't going to rest against NYCFC. I don't see him resting that game. He was not. So
it's a problem with depth. You have no one to put in his place. Not like him, not really. It's a drop off.
Him especially. We don't really have it. I saw in the comment section Aviles. I don't think that's a bad idea either. He just lunges a lot. That's the only issue that I have with him. And today again he lunged, got us a yellow really early. We thought instantly he got another one right after. It was a disaster.
Yeah, we rely so much on our wingbacks to to do things in offense that I don't know if he's capable of. He has his moments where he can play a long pass up an alley, but I don't know if I trust Aviles going up the wing and crossing something in or picking someone up at the top of the box.
Do you trust Noah Allen to do that?
No, but I'd rather have Aviles at center back rather than
But
putting
that's
him
what I'm
off to the
saying.
right.
Is like we still might be able to play 3 center backs and have Toto Aviles as an emergency right back in this situation. And
Potentially.
just play ultra defensive. I don't know, but I think it's a possibility.
It's gonna be Robert Taylor. I hate to tell you guys, that's what's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. He's unfortunately the only guy that they've placed out there, and he's done okay. Look, I hate on him, but he's he's solid-ish, compared to what we're seeing. Although today they put Rob out there at playing his position, and I kind of like him a little better. I don't know what to tell you, but we'll leave it up there.
He was solid. Robbie Robinson, to keep it to today's match, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, right? But Robbie Robinson was solid today. A couple of you guys were saying, "Oh no, it's not going any better" or whatever. It wasn't necessarily better, but it wasn't worse. We didn't take a hit, and he made some solid plays.
Chris,
I was saying when I said he's not any better, I meant right off the bat because Jose was saying I like him better as he was getting subbed on, and the thing is, Robert Taylor has done things with this club that have won us matches. Robbie Robinson hasn't done anything with this club that has helped us do anything. So yeah, and in that instance, yeah, I'm like Robert Taylor at this point is better because he's a little more proven.
What I like about Robbie Robinson is that he does have a bigger presence. He's a guy that can kind of hold the ball a little bit more. He's looking to pass first. A lot of times we just need that rather than a guy just shoot into the stands or just do a dribbler right at the goalie, which I saw that today a lot. There was a lot of miscommunication. Now, I don't know if Robbie Robinson has the capacity to play at the level that we're trying to play at, where Kamaski is trying to do the back and forth and like I'm talking about today specifically, where you're seeing the back and forth trying to happen and orchestra trying to play, and he was kind of just like playing the flute, right? And you're like, okay, we're not doing the right thing here. But it's not that he's bad. It's just there's only so much that we can expect from Robbie Robinson. Whereas Robert Taylor today, I feel like sometimes he's trying, but he's trying almost so much that it's to the detriment. So it's up and down with him. That's what you're gonna get. And I said that last time.
It's up and down with all of them.
No, but he's so hot and close. Ain't funny. Don't even start with that.
But when he's hot,
oh, he's hot. Yeah, absolutely. He's sizzling.
Yeah, well, it will remain to be seen who thought that ends up putting at right back. Maybe we'll get some more news as we head into the NYCFC match. Looking at the standings, since we were kind of mentioning it, so NYFC and Montreal both are on 37 points. Montreal with the lead due to goal differential, I imagine. But NYCFC's been in decent form. They've won 3 of their last 5. They've been unbeaten in their last 5 with 3 wins, 2 draws. And yeah, that's going to be it's just going to be maybe the most important game of this final stretch. I know we play Charlotte twice, we play Chicago. Those are all critical too, but if we're able to beat NYCFC and sort of stop their momentum, it will go a long way in keeping that spot open. Because realistically, there's a chance that Montreal and NYCFC drop and don't make the play-in. And that's realistic. But if you if NYCFC beats you, then they're almost guaranteed that spot. So we have 5 games remaining. We have 2 games in hand over NYCFC. We have 1 game in hand over Montreal, and we're 5 points back of either. Then there's 4 teams between us and them, and we have at least a game in hand over all of them except for Charlotte. Charlotte we play twice, so just consider them level with us, even though they're ahead of us by 1 point. You got to win one, probably both of those Charlotte matches, which will be tough because those will be potentially without Messi.
Definitely one without Messi, right?
Yeah. Definitely one
So
without. I mean, yeah. Unless if he, for some reason, doesn't travel to Argentina to play international, which I don't know if you can expect that.
That's why these matches are so important now. We're really getting these other guys involved. And not only for experience purposes, but it's giving Tata a glimpse of what he can do and what he has to work with. So yeah, the more I see these guys play, the more confident I feel in those matches that Messi's not going to be in. Of course, if Messi's on, we feel like we can take on the world. I'm never gonna take away how important Messi is to this club, but we're showing that we have enough talent that we can prevail without him. Any given match, we can win without Messi. Now, I can't stress enough how important Messi is. But I think that we're putting ourselves in a good spot.
The commenter just said right now everything is in our hands. It's true. We have to win these huge matches coming up. We hold our own destiny. We have some key matchups coming up that are right ahead of us that we could just drop them down and we'll get right up. So yeah, it's definitely in our hands. Definitely we control our own destiny going forward.
That's ultimately what everyone wants, right? To just be able to control whatever's in front of you. And have the opportunity right now that if we win, we proceed. We can constantly just win and proceed, win and proceed, and I'll take that. I mean, think about before Messi started. Were we ever even thinking about getting this position? Now, does it matter? No, it doesn't. We have Messi now, so we expect it. But yeah, it comes with the territory. We all expect to come out with it, or and have a trouble. So that's our next fight will be for the final, which we all want. That next one is NYCFC. None of them we can drop. So
It's crazy to think that we're second from last still in the standings, but we control our own destiny because we play everybody that's in front of us. It's such a weird, it's like such a weird position to be in because you visually look at the table and you're like, okay, how are they going to make the playoffs? But we play Charlotte twice, we play Chicago, we play NYCFC, and it's like, oh, okay, you can make up a ton of points just in those matches. So it's going to be like a thrill ride watching this. It's going to be bananas. If we win our five matches, we're in mathematically. That includes one additional match against Cincinnati, which will be interesting. We also might not have Messi for that one, and we don't know if Cincinnati will be resting players for the playoffs because they're already obviously clinched. I'm sure they'll want to beat us, but we'll see. It's going to be very interesting to watch the remainder of the season. And I'm looking ahead.
I don't think anybody's going to be rested. Anybody who's in the playoffs in the East will be resting anybody against Miami, because I think if they have a chance to get Miami out of the playoff hunt,
no,
they're going to take it. I think that they're going to see that as its own playoff game. Everybody's trying to keep us out. I think they know that if Miami makes the tournament, it is going to be problems for them. So I think that I find it very hard to believe that anybody will be resting players against Miami.
especially if we already just came out with two trophies. Let's just say that we get this one on Wednesday against the Houston Dynamo. Do you imagine? Like we're gonna have two trophies in that we just like I don't know where just got, and the next thing is to just run the table in the playoffs. Like that's impressive.
I want to see us walking into every stadium with the trophies in hand, like WWE wrestlers with the champions belts, just walking in with the trophies, with the big cafetera and whatever the U.S. Final Cup looks like, the U.S. Open Final.
A much daintier trophy, the U.S. Open Cup Final.
It'll go in to the League's Cup Final.
I want David to walk it in there.
I mean,
our David?
Yeah, I want David to be the one.
I'll do it
with his helmet as well. Going into Cincinnati with the Cincinnati Bengals helmet.
I'll do it. Whatever the club needs, I'm game.
Listen, man, that's why I shaved my beard. I'm just trying to shave the bad juju off.
Yeah, me too.
I hated the last game. I was like, I just done.
Could it be me?
Would never.
All right, guys. So the U.S. Open Cup Final is on Wednesday, just 3 short days from now. That's gonna be the build-up to that match is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait for this final. Houston's been playing really well, so it's gonna be it's actually gonna be an interesting matchup. When we first when we first found out who our opponent was gonna be in the final, Houston was sort of just middling around. They weren't in the best form, but they've really hit their stride. I'm really looking forward to this match. I fully expect everyone to be back and active. I think that went a big way in the decision to not have Messi, Alba, and Busquets travel was all priority placed on Wednesday's match, the US Open Cup final. We're going to be doing a huge preview show for that. It's going to be out in 24 hours. Make sure you tune in, check it out. It'll be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I think we're going to wrap for tonight, unless if anyone has any closing words on Orlando.
I don't care about that game anymore. I'm moving on to the final, and guess what? I'm gonna be there. So if anyone wants to talk to me, let me know.
There you go. You heard it here first. Jose will be at the match. We'll be coordinating meet and greets. Jose will be standing at the gates, signing autographs. Anything you want.
Whatever the trees are, I don't know. Everyone always tells us to meet by the trees.
Jose wants to meet at the trees. Meet him there.
And ask him to sign stuff. Anything you want.
Anything.
I want to sign Brian's chest. He keeps commenting. He's a buddy of ours.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for tuning into the Heron Heads podcast. Your first stop for all things Inter Miami. We'll be sure to catch you guys on the next one. Have a good one.